Welcome to Untamed Blossoms, the podcast where we celebrate the untamed journey of womanhood. Here, we tell the stories of incredible women who have embraced their authenticity, inspiring others to do the same.
From entrepreneurs to artists, activists to adventurers, we share triumphs, challenges, and the beauty of self-discovery. These are the stories of women blazing their own trails, breaking free, and blooming unapologetically.
Join us to connect, be inspired, and celebrate the power of women's stories. Together, let's rewrite the rules and embrace our wildness.
Welcome to Untamed Blossoms. I'm your host, Amanda Riley.
And I'm Christy Riley. Welcome to the show, everybody.
I got some sad news today.
Oh, no.
Not today, but recently. That one of my friends that I met at yoga, you remember her name's Crystal?
Yes.
She's moving.
Oh, no.
I'm so sad.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. It's always so fun when you meet someone in the wild and you develop a friendship with them. And
Yeah.
I'm so sad she's going to move. But
Moving away.
yeah, her and her.
I feel the same way about Sarah. She keeps threatening to move and leave us.
Every time Sarah says Sarah, if you're listening, every time she talks about it, I'm like, no, you're not.
My eyebrow goes up and I'm like, what? What?
No.
Where is she going? It would just be an opportunity for you and I to go and visit her on a regular basis, which I'm also down with. So Sarah, live your life. We're just kidding. Not really.
I'm not. I just already have too many friends that live too many different places. I want everyone to come together and live.
Your sorority group really spread out. Yeah.
It's like so hard. Like Corinne being in DC and Jamie being in Florida, and even though Carrie's in Ohio, it's still Toledo.
Right. It's a haul to get there.
I just don't want anyone to move away from me. I'm such a weirdo. Like I would really love to buy a compound, not cult like, but a place and a space for everyone to come and live in a community together. Maybe we wear robes, maybe we don't. I don't know.
No, you'd have flowy, florally dresses.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kimono, not kimonos. That's the wrong word.
Well, could be
a muumuu. Yeah.
I used to really fuck with kimonos. I used to like wear them all the time. Yeah, all the time. Like florally, flowy, all the time. And then like every other part of my personality, I said, okay, I'm done.
And I'm over that.
I haven't worn one since.
You wore a lot of those. You had a bunch of them.
I had probably 50. That's my also toxic trait is I find a shape or something that makes me feel comfortable. And like, this is what I will only be wearing. That's why when all of a sudden the bibs got too constricting for me, I thought I can never wear these again.
We told them about the bibs. I mean, you notice we're not wearing our bibs.
We talked about it a little bit. I think you'd let me off pretty easy. I had a meltdown about the bibs, if I'm being honest, because I just get weird when I feel trapped.
Well, you're fine in those pants as long as it was cold outside.
Yes.
You feel trapped when feral summer rolls around.
Yeah. I don't want to be sweaty and trapped.
Yeah.
When I'm already feeling sweaty and trapped, you know what I'm saying? It is hard out here for a sun goddess like myself. So
she's like, I need to wear all of the flowy things and I cannot feel restricted.
At all.
Your dress is adorable today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You might not be able to see this because of the microphone placement, but there is some alterations that need done on the top so I can wear these in public.
To keep things in. Yeah.
I didn't know until it was too late, one might say.
It's really beautiful. I love the colorings of that. It's really, really pretty. It's flattering on you. It's great. Yeah. You look beautiful today.
Oh my gosh, did you?
Thanks.
Wow. Well,
we have a new guest today.
Yeah.
Really that pumped. I just stumbled across her on Instagram.
In the wild of the internet.
And I just thought she was really wispy and fun and creative. And what she's doing is a little woo-woo and a little crafty and artistic. And she just seemed like part of our tribe. Yeah. And I thought it would be cool to talk to her. So I reached out and she was like, yeah, let's play. And that was literally her response, which I thought was great.
I love it.
So yeah, I can't wait to talk to her. Hi, Elise. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here, and I can't wait to play today.
We're so excited to have you. I was immediately taken by your energy on Instagram, which is why I reached out to you. I was like, oh, I love her.
Woo!
Your energy. Your energy hit me right away. I was like, I like her. We should have her on the podcast. Yeah.
I'm liking your energy right now. It's giving very Baby Spice, circa Spice Girls. Like that's the vibe I'm getting right now. I love the Spice Girls.
You do. She does love the Spice Girls. Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Right.
For reals. They're lying if they don't.
I've never seen Spice World. I'm like, you're telling me you've never seen Spice World? What are you even doing? And then they're usually like 20 years old. I'm like, oh, you don't even know the Spice Girls.
You were young. Too young.
Oh, wow.
Well, Elise, you're joining us from Florida.
I am.
But you are not a Floridian by birth, right? You are a Midwesterner like us.
I'm a total Midwestern gal. Grew up in southern Indiana, right along the Ohio River.
The Ohio River, Appalachia. Yeah, we love that. We love that. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So, I now in this iteration of life, I work as an intuitive, as a healer, as a guide, both with people's bodies and with people's businesses. And so if we kind of go all the way back to childhood, honestly, many of us have these rememberings of seeing things or feeling things or hearing things, but so many of us just like hide from it. We're scared. We don't really open back up to that. And there's a lot of people in this world that are opening back up to it now. But it was something that was a very prevalent thing for me when I was little. I could see, hear, feel, experience this kind of sixth sense energy. Ever since I was a little girl, the story that always comes forward is that when I was 2 years old, I was talking about my grandmother who was no longer in the earthly plane. And my mom was like, how do you even know about this woman? She died before you were born. And so thankfully, I'm so grateful that my mom didn't shut that down for me. And she really held space for me to be in this playful, creative, imaginative energy that, of course, later has become something that is literally my life path, my soul mission, all the things. So that was kind of the origin, grew up in the cornfields and seeing and feeling all the energies and everything. And it's really been this gradual dance throughout my entire life of let me lean in. No, I'm too scared. Let me lean in. No, I'm too scared. But there's always been this thread. And I've always had a knowing that there was something in my soul that I would like do something with this at some point in my life.
Wow.
That's
so
awesome.
You went to college? No?
I did and I didn't. I didn't finish traditional college. I've always kind of been a free spirit. I've never really liked maybe authority is the word. I don't even know. I wasn't a rebel. I actually followed the rules quite closely, but I was always creative. I was always an imaginative, person. I grew up as a dancer and a competitive gymnast. Lots of work with the body. So the body was always really intriguing to me. When I was a senior in high school, my parents got divorced and we were kind of what I thought like this perfect image of what family was, whatever the fuck that means, like what does that mean? But that's what my little picture of my family, it was like this perfect little family. And then shit just got real weird and my parents divorced and my world came crashing down and I had to figure out life. I don't really remember my senior year of high school. And so in the process of that, my mom and I actually ended up opening a clothing store, kind of like a Forever 21 spinoff, but like our version of this like teeny bopper store. So I became the buyer and really got into running and managing this clothing store, which was really super fun. We would do fashion shows and I'd create choreographed dances and stuff for our mall.
Love that.
It was wild, right? But in the process of that, I also met my now husband, who we've been, together for 19 years, married for 16. I don't know the math where we're at right now, but it was whatever that timeline was. I met him that same year. So we did long distance for a year. And during that time, I did do local college for kinesiology. And I was like, all right, if he was getting ready to graduate his senior year, and I was like, well, if we do that, will you move to Los Angeles with me? Because I want to go dance and perform and do that whole thing. So I waited another year. So I was home for a year doing this store with my mom. And then I went to UNC Charlotte to complete school with him. And so I continued my kinesiology degree there, but didn't finish. We moved to Los Angeles, dancing, performing, kind of started that whole thing, which really set a whole trajectory of kind of what my next phase of opening my spiritual gifts were.
Wow. Say more about that.
Yeah. So life is happening. I actually, when we went there, I went to massage therapy school because I thought that was the way that I wanted to work with the body. Quickly found out that was not the way that I wanted to work with my body, with people's bodies, but it was a stepping stone. I was dancing and choreographing in different professional companies and theaters and, doing the audition thing. And I just got to this place where I was like, there's more. I know there's more. I started getting like hits and downloads that I needed to write a book, that people needed to hear my voice and my story of like loving life, wanting more, but like being afraid. And there was this kind of dance that had just happened my whole life. I had also had quite a bit of health issues throughout my life, which I, of course, now believe it was spirit just constantly coming back to like the vessel of the body and how to heal naturally and how to work with your chakras and how to detox. So I kind of had these teachings throughout life, but my real kind of come back to my spiritual gift moment was in 2010. I was diagnosed with melanoma skin cancer. And I had remembered when I was 13 or 14, I had said a prayer to God. I was like, all right, God, I know these gifts are here for me, but I can't handle them right now. So when the day comes for me to open up and surrender to these gifts, you let me know. Well, that was that moment. The melanoma skin cancer in 2010 was that moment. I was like, oh, you're talking to me, God. Like, this is my moment. I can choose to go down this path of struggle and of whatever will be revealed of like what I have to do to heal this cancer. Or I can surrender and this cancer will be no more and life will forever be changed because I will now be open to my gifts again. And so I chose the second path of letting that go. I tell this story because it's a wild one. Sometimes the metaphysical and the physical worlds will collide. And this was one of those moments where one of my friends who was a massage therapist, she was an epic healer. I was like, I need your help. Can we go to the beach? Can we do a session? And so we went to the beach. She's doing a session and it was on the back part of my shoulder. And like they wanted to, go in and do surgery and all the things. So she scoops out from the back of my shoulder. We both could see this like black mass and she tosses it into the ocean. And we were like, did you just see that? Because I just saw that. That definitely just landed in the ocean. It's gone. We knew in that moment that it was gone. And after they had done the surgery and stuff, they found no evidence of the skin cancer at all.
Wow. That's
even though
awesome.
It was so deep. So that was my moment when things started to uncover again.
That's a beautiful story. I love that.
So what were you doing professionally at the time? Were you so you were in the middle of this awakening. Did that pivot and change what you decided to do for the rest of your life? How did that really launch you in a different direction?
Yeah. So at that time, I was performing and dancing and working with massage therapy in lots of different avenues and ways. But 2 weeks after that moment of recognition and surrender, I answered an ad on Craigslist for like health and nutrition coaching. And I met this woman named Laura, who is still to this day one of my very best friends. And she opened me up to this whole world of healing. And I met this beautiful group of friends. And through that, my spiritual mentor was a part of the organization as well. And she also, Monica, is one of my spiritual mentors and my like BFFs, soul sisters still to this day. And it really opened me up to soul family and women who were on a path that I knew in my heart, but I didn't know in like cognitive function yet, if that makes sense. So I started to kind of split my time between health and nutrition coaching and work in the dance and choreography world and creative world. And slowly but surely, it just kind of kept leaning. And then these women just started coming to me, and there was a period of time between 2010 and like 2012 where I was just on a personal development frenzy. I was going to all the, conferences and going on retreats myself and opening up. And it was very clear that it was time for me to start working with people. And so right about 2012 into 2013, I started hosting women's circles. I think I charged, what was it, $65 for my first like coaching sessions. And like they were like 3-hour long transformational sessions, and they were like embodiment sessions. So we were using our bodies and breathing, but like 3-hour long. It was hilarious. Thinking back to that time, it's just so funny. I was so fresh in the energy, but that's what it took. It took that willingness, that courage, and really just jumping in and saying, we're going to do this and we're going to get you results, like no matter what it takes. And of course now like the time and the energy is so much faster, but it's fun to look back at that moment.
It's like your infancy as you were first fledgling.
Exactly.
Coming out.
Exactly.
So at that point, where was your trajectory then to switch completely over to coaching and away from dancing, or was dancing still something that was near and dear to your heart and you wanted to keep?
Yes, and to all of it. My heart is and forever will be with movement, dance, performance, but I definitely did come to this place a few years into kind of this transition where I really felt like, how do I do both? How do I build this and build this? And how do I move forward in integrity to what my heart was calling? Because at that time, my heart really was saying to me, spirit was saying like, this is the route. I need you to go all in on this spiritual path because women need you. And I've always since the beginning of time really been catered to that feminine work. Even in massage therapy, I really always loved working with women's bodies. I did a lot with prenatal massage work. Mm-hmm. So the way that a female's body speaks to me in the like spirit field is really profound. And so I just kept leaning and I was like, I was so afraid to like let go of all of this over here. But I finally did. I finally said, let's go all in.
Was that about societal like pressures? Do you feel like your hesitation or fear to let go was that I'm not going to be able to make money at this, or people are going to think I'm weird? Or can you remember like what your fear was holding?
Really good question. I feel like it was probably a combination of things. I think it was fear of letting go of this dream of dancing and performing that I'd had ever since I was a little girl. Yeah. I moved down to LA. It was like that's what I was supposed to be doing, was dancing and performing. So I think that there was a piece of me that didn't want to lose that. Sure, I think there was a piece that was wondering about like, how can I really make money? And I feel like that was kind of the time where coaching really started to take off and like really started to boom. I mean, obviously it's been around forever, but I feel like that was really a time where, the first kind of evolution of, I don't know, I feel like that 2012 era was really a first energetic tipping point to where we're at now with this like new earth awakening and people waking up. There definitely was that energy then. And so I think it was like, what if I actually go balls to the wall with this? Like, what actually happens. And I think maybe like a fear of the unknown, the money thing. I think that there was some family members that I was, like, what if they really see the full piece of me, like coming fully out of the spiritual closet? But to me, if I was just me with me, I knew in my heart this was the exact move that I needed to make.
Yeah. Was this based on religion? These family members, were they religious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've definitely had a few guests who have spoken about this of, understanding. I do want to get into the part a little bit where you talk about like, getting those messages, those downloads, the spiritual realm that you're in, that you're able to get those messaging, because I do think people have a perception about what that is and looks like. And then that can sometimes directly conflict with religious beliefs for some people and for family members. And I don't necessarily think those two have to be so aggressively different. So I'd love to hear your experience about that and, the reconciling with religion versus spirituality. If you would like to go into that.
This is actually one of my favorite things to talk about.
Oh,
I don't talk about it publicly a lot, but like I have so many clients that come to me from broken religion or misconceptions of religion, or like, oh my gosh, I have all these things, I see these things, but I'm religious. I'm like, yeah, great. Like I know God more now than ever before. So let's talk about it. And this is the way that I've come to kind of explain it, is that this is my personal belief, is that religion is the like square picture, whereas it's not just the square picture. If you take the curtains back, there's a panoramic picture that is all of the religions, that is spirituality, that is our soul seeking truth. It is our soul seeking love. I mean, if we look at Christianity, because that is, I'd say that's probably like 65% of the people that I work with, but I work with people who are Buddhist and Muslim and Jewish. I mean, I've got people who are even agnostic who come and seek this. I'm like, it's because we all have this seed in our soul that is really just trying to remember. We're all trying to remember that we came from the same
place,
the
source.
the same source, the same origin. I talk about origin a lot. Like we have this origin place that is neutrality. And if we can come back to this place of neutrality, it doesn't matter how different someone's views, how different someone's skin tone, how different someone's anything is, we can find and be with the common ground that we are living, breathing beings with this, energetic, spiritual soul that is coming to relearn and re-meet each other. And if we actually look at it biblically, there are so many places in the Bible where we have, prophetic sight and prophetic word. And, don't get me started in the whole like way that the feminine has been taken out of the Bible. If we actually go back to ancient text prior to the Bible, we see that there actually was so much of the women's writings that were hidden. And, they found these beautiful manuscripts from Mary Magdalene and other women of ancient times that have been found locked away, buried, half torn and ripped in dungeons underground somewhere, because that's actually the truth. And so if someone is willing to sit with that and actually learn their soul truth, they will see that for themselves. I'm certainly not here to tell anybody religion is right, wrong, otherwise, but what I know to be true is I still take my family to church. I love it as a container, as a space holder. And I know there is so much more if you're willing to be open to learn the more.
I love that. I love that's inclusive of everyone. And I feel like we get put in these pockets, in our families. If your family believes one thing and then you grow up in that, whatever that messaging is, just doesn't really sit with you. And, the reason for religions really is because of differences in the way we are, right? Things don't resonate with one the way it resonates with the other, or their explanation or their understanding of it, or a different religion. It's all sort of, in my opinion, the same as you. Like, I believe it's the same. It's all from the same book. It's just in different languages,
Yeah.
for people to understand. And I think that's really, and it's okay. How many wars have been fought and people have died for the sake of religion and religious differences. So if we all can agree to be okay with what everybody else is believing and just move forward in kindness and love, it's would be a huge shift in the dynamic of this world. So
Yeah, it brings me to tears to even think about that vision.
yeah.
And in my own personal devotion and prayers and time with the elements and the work that, you know, I'm not quote unquote publicly doing, right? It's like I publicly do things with whatever, the internet and my clients and this, but in my own personal practice, it's like it is those moments where I pray for that vision and, ask what can I do? How can I be a vessel, a bridge to weave humanity together? Because I really think that that's what we're here to learn, and the
Totally.
essence and the greater vision of it all.
Yeah.
And you talked about, when you were little, mentioning someone who has passed and your mom being like, what? So can you get into a little bit about that with us and just some of those downloads that you've had, some of the messagings that you've gotten and how you worked through that? We definitely interviewed someone before who had a similar experience that was like, man, I was really pretty freaked out about this. It took me some time to process and learn how to download this information. So
Yeah, it can be really tricky, especially when it comes out of nowhere. I have a really dear friend, a newer and recent dear friend who she's a very talented therapist, but has never really heard from the other side. And she had a friend who very tragically passed, and this friend started coming to her, and she called me. She was like, Elise, can you talk to me through this? Like, what is happening? And I was like, she is helping you awaken this part of your gifts. Like, this is a new awakening for you, and it's okay. And if it is too loud, if it is too much, we always have the ability to turn the volume up to intuition or turn the volume down to intuition. We always have the ability to go higher or lower. So I want to say that for anybody who's listening, whether you're seeing shadows in the night or voices while you're sleeping or a loved one is coming through from the other side, we always have the ability and the sovereignty to say yes or no to that. And when I was little, I mean, I don't remember that like 2 to 3 year old time frame, but when I was right about 7 or 8, I was taking a shower, and it was the first time that I really saw like Casper the ghost. I like saw the ghostly figure, and it was my grandma. And she actually died when my mom was pregnant with me. So, of course, there was like a leaving and a coming that was happening through that whole experience. So I'm taking a shower, and I was in my parents' shower. They had one of those like glass showers. So I was taking a shower, and at the time I didn't know who it was. I had to really sit with and like understand what it was. But this woman like just comes out of nowhere, and she just comes right to me while I'm taking a shower. I remember just smacking my back against the shower, like, and then she disappeared. And I was like, what just happened? I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to my mom. I was so scared. I was like, let me just go. Let me just go to school. I'm going to go to school. So I go to school. I come home from school. My parents worked from home. Okay. Like, they should have been home. They were not home when I got home that day. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And now I'm really scared. So I walk in, and within maybe a few minutes from being home, realizing my parents weren't home, I saw a man in a black trench coat with a long, pointy, crazy looking tail go right through my kitchen ceiling into the upstairs of our house. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? I started hearing voices, and I was like, ah. So my parents get home. I start to tell my mom, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing these things. And she's like, okay, like doesn't really say much. I don't remember like her response being anything specific. And then that night in the bath, Must have been the next night. My grandmother came again and she sat on the side of the tub and she was like, "I'm your grandmother." And I was like, "Holy cow." And then what she was wearing in how I saw her is like how I knew her from a photograph. So she showed herself in a way to like meet the match, if that makes sense. So from there, I mean, I really just started asking questions, why, how, oh my gosh, I don't want to see the dark images. I just want to see the light. And that's really where I began that dialogue with God, with spirit. Like, can we work this out together? Because I just don't know yet. And so it really truly is one of my favorite things to work with people on waking up their spiritual gifts, because I literally took a lifetime, or the lifetime that I've had thus far in this lifetime, to learn that in a very titrated way from my childhood into my teenage years, into the Grand Awakening. And then, of course, lots of Grand Awakenings since then. But I really hold that safe space for people to say, I feel crazy. I'm like, you're actually not crazy. Let's decipher this. Let's talk about why you're hearing the voices. Let's talk about what your grandmother is trying to bring through to you. Let's put words and symbols to it so that people actually can integrate it in a really safe, loving way into their lives.
I was a nurse for 30 years. And listening to you talk, right? How many people were diagnosed? And I'm not here to say that mental illness is not real, but how many people were diagnosed with schizophrenia who might have just been gifted and put on meds? Yeah,
so many.
Yeah. And so it's sad to me to think about people that have probably just had this gift, right? And been told that they're crazy and put on meds and not taught to integrate it or what it is or how to handle it. People are telling me I'm crazy, I must be, so they end up doing a lot of things and usually have pretty short lives, sadly. And that makes me really sad to think that people like you in this time is helping people not get that label and not have that label, and for people to be more accepting of what's happening to them and not being socially shunned. So
yeah, wow. And I want to say something to this, because there are, I don't even want to label them positive or light or dark or what, like there are energies that are not of higher frequencies.
right.
That if someone is not standing in their sovereignty, if someone is not clear on who they are, those voices and those energies that start hanging around with them can take them to a place that like you said, it is not good.
Yeah.
And it actually does, it isn't a helpful way, and they don't understand that they can actually tell those energies or entities to leave, that they are not welcome in their space. And if more people knew that, I think there would just be a lot more opportunity. And of course, if you look at like alcohol, it's called spirits or booze for a reason. There are energies that just naturally come into the field when you introduce those kinds of things. It's a lower frequency, and so you do open yourself up to lingerers. And there are people, everybody has a different life path, of course, but there are some people, when they die, they pass very quickly, and they're free. And there are some people that have to reconcile their life once they die, and they can linger in the in-between kind of purgatory state. And sometimes they can hitchhike on people who are light and bright. And so it is important to cleanse your field and say, this is my energy and my energy alone. Anything that is not mine, I send it back with love. And taking personal responsibility in spiritual hygiene, so that you're staying in your purest form, and knowing that your light is not for the hitchhikers.
Yeah.
I never thought about alcohol.
Oh, I was just about to
Being
start
booze.
going on a whole thing about this.
Dude,
So
dude, you just blew my mind just now. I'm like, oh, she's right. Oh my God. I never even thought of that.
because what alcohol does to your mind, I'm 2 years sober and I really went through a whole like sciencey part of also alcohol because I knew once I know what it does to my body legit, then I will not do it again. Right. And so when you start to realize what alcohol does to your brain, and then you combine that with like the spirit world and you realize how much of it shuts off. You stop producing short-term memories. Like all of these things happen. Of course, it's going to be a big old entry spot for things to come into your life. And that frequency in alcohol being a depressant, and it's literally spattered all over it. If you really look at the branding of alcohol, it's not glamorous in any way.
You're totally right.
But it just allows even in the physical world, like things that you would never say normally come out when you're drinking, or things that you don't even believe to be true come out.
I was over here like, what did she just say? Booze? Oh my God, she's totally right. I'd never heard it spoken that way. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, insane. So you can hear voices. You can see people. Can you remote view?
Yes. I don't practice it often though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like you've had to like kind of back away from because it's too much, or just that you're like, this isn't really my jam?
I mean, so when it comes to the way that I see now, I see very differently than I did when I was a little girl. As I mentioned, I saw like very clear ghost figures, like someone in front of me because of I think the fear that I had and the dance that I did, kind of welcoming it, not welcoming it, welcoming it, not welcoming it. When it all started coming back in 2010, and of course, like everything every year, there's like, oh, I didn't know I could do that now. But it's come differently. I don't see it the same way. Like if I saw one of your loved ones, it would most likely be in like a thought bubble kind of imagery, like cartoon character almost, versus human form imagery. So I see it differently, which I love because I don't really fear that in that way anymore. Is there anything I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think I've really backed away from anything, but based on who I work with, am I working with someone's business or someone's body? Am I, depending on the element that I'm working on with the person, there's different gifts that will show up. We're all very multidimensional beings. It used to kind of be this thought that we have one way to receive. We either hear it or we feel it or we know it or we see it. But ultimately, we actually have access to all of these plus way more. And so really it is about the practice and the development. And so yeah, it's fun to see a different combination of gifts and modalities show up for this person. And then for this person, something else totally different shows up. But I think I personally love that. I think it's just part of my personality as well. And I'm a Pisces, so I'm always just like floating and like welcoming and creating. So I'm like, oh, cool. What do you want to create in this space? And oh, cool. What do you want to create in this space? So I think that's the thing that's been the most fun, and really seeing and witnessing when I'm working with someone who is also working on opening up one of their own gifts. It is such a gift and a reciprocity to me, because that also then I can hold and help. It helps open it up within me too. So I love to be in sacred space with people.
How did you transition from, and it sounds like you do both, still working one-on-one with people into working with businesses? Yeah,
so this is a really fun one for me. I think I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I've always wanted to make my own money. I don't know if it's because my parents were business owners, or I don't know, just kind of was born knowing that I wanted to do that. When I was like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, I would make paper chains dependent on the holiday. So like 4th of July, paper chains, red, white, and blue. And I would like put all the paper chains and I would go to all my neighbors. I'd sell them for like 50 cents, you know, and it was like the lemonade stands and the this and the that. I used to braid bracelets and like do beads, and I would have like, I would just sell things all the time. So it's kind of been in my nature to lead and do business stuff. And then, as I said, my parents owned a business, and then my mom and I opened up a clothing store. Being a dancer and choreographer, you're always a 1099. So you know, it's like you're never really working for somebody. It's always you're the talent. And then even the health and nutrition coaching, I was running that as my own business through an organization. So it's just kind of always been there to do that. But I think the biggest thing is like, I just knew in my heart that I wanted to help women. And so when I started helping these women and holding and hosting these women's circles, I was doing retreats. All of the women that were coming were in this transition point. They wanted to do something for themselves. They wanted to create a life of their own. They wanted to lead. They wanted to guide. They wanted to write a book. They wanted to open a business. And I was like, oh, of course, because that's what I've always wanted to do, is to have this mission or lead and guide. And so naturally, it just kind of, even though I was helping with women clear their bodies, their energies, open up to their spiritual gifts, as they opened their spiritual gifts, they became very clear on their mission. And so then we were like, okay, let's help you now go out and create this mission in the world. And so I would do Soul Sister mastermind groups, and I had all these cool programs, you know, back in the day. And then most recently, it just became really loud that I needed to help women more with business, because we are a force of nature. And if we do not bring in our spiritual self, we are missing the mark so much. There is like double, triple, 10x the business that can happen when we integrate that piece of ourselves. And so many women want to keep it separate and or don't even realize that they can integrate that part to actually manifest, quantum leap, like all the whatever catchy terms that we want to call it, but there is actually a truth behind it. And so I just said, let's do it. And again, as soon as I surrendered and said, let's do it, Spirit brought in this formula of how the business has a chakra system, just like we do as humans. And so I now read the chakra system of people's businesses step by step, every area from leadership to hiring and firing to financials to creative to marketing. And it's the most cool, beautiful thing, because I get to just mesh all my worlds together and have this beautiful explosion of art and creation and spirituality, but tangible logistics and results.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The thread of everything that you've even went to school for was all energetics. You know, like it's like you were looking for a label for what you were experiencing energetically. Does that make sense? Kinesiology, like is the study of energy literally in the muscles, and you know, and then you go into the massage therapy. Like you've just continued this. Any education has been all about energy work, and so that's really what we're talking about here is the energetics.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whether it's an inanimate object or a living, breathing being or the soul of someone's business, like everything has energy.
Yeah.
And if we can understand it and learn how to put the puzzle pieces together, it literally just makes this really clear channel, and life, business, relationships, it all shifts in the most beautiful way.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we were looking just through your Instagram, doing some light stalking prior to the interview. And I came across one of your reels. It was really interesting. You talking about building your base, right? And why are you not connecting with your audience? And what are you missing? So I would have to believe in this day and age, social media marketing is the best way for women to reach out. It's free for the most part. You know, you can pay for ads, but it's the way we get our business out there and we gain, you know, our audience and our followers. So what do you see energetically as most causing blockages with women and promoting their business online these days?
There's a few things. There is a bit of a disconnect happening so many women believe that they are their business, especially in this realm of like coaching and healing and I mean, even someone who is a solopreneur who is selling a product, we can get so attached to thinking that we are the business. And while we are the face of the business is actually its own energetic entity. So any of our personal beliefs around being seen or afraid to share a message or anything like that, if we are thinking it is us, we will always stand in our own way and block that. But if we can actually step out and say, what does our business actually want to share? That fear level drops significantly. And you can actually say, wow, my business, this is what I'm doing for people. This is how I'm helping people. This is the thing that I need to teach people today. And it's from the viewpoint of the business versus the self. And I see this with women taking money too, or afraid to charge what they are actually wanting to charge because they're seeing it as people are paying me the money. I'm like, no, people are paying the business. Yes, you're the one carrying out the job or the task or the service, but they are paying the entity of the business. Because ultimately, if you are in good business, financial, money skills, you're not just going to take all that money. There's money that stays in the business and then you're paying yourself. And so then we have to look at the energetics of that and how that enmeshed and intertwined relationship. So I know that was like a very long answer to that, but I really believe it's when we're too wrapped up in the business where we're thinking it's us. If we actually can step out of it, it's going to come and flow so much easier. You won't have that veil over your voice or expression because you're actually allowing the business to do the expressing.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's helpful. And a lot of women fear, and I think a lot of women are targeted to, if you have a business, build your personal brand. Your brand is everything. People will follow what you're doing if they can follow you as a person. I think that's pretty pronounced among many people I know, especially women entrepreneurs. So allowing yourself some separation from that and letting the business do what the business needs to do, and being a conduit to that versus being it is a pretty big differentiator. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, the conduit piece. Exactly. It's exactly correct. And I'm telling you what, even just in this conversation, whoever's listening, if you know that like, whoa, that's me, even just in this moment of having the awareness, I truly believe you'll see an immediate energetic shift in something somewhere just with the awareness alone.
Yeah. And so what all services do you offer to people? So you do personal and you do businesses. So we would love you to kind of run it down for us. What are the things that you offer? And explain a little bit about those things too, in case someone's listening and they want to take advantage of any of those things.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. So one of the things that I'm having so much fun with right now is a spiritual business audit. And so it quite literally is what I shared. Like I go through the entire chakra system of the business and I have different ways that we can journey through it because every business is different. We can do like the full meal deal all together in a month. We can spread it out over 7 months for someone who wants a little bit, needs a not quite as fiery, needs a little bit more integration support. We'll do like one chakra a month. But ultimately, this really is me going into your business. We meet a few different times. There's a giant set of questions that I have you answer that helps to open up the field of what your voice is, what your business voice is. We look at, not just every chakra level, but we ask the business to start speaking. And so I'll channel what your business is saying and sharing. We'll look at feng shui if you have like either your at-home office or I've been working with a lot of brick and mortars as well. So I'll actually go into their physical office. We'll look at feng shui. We do an entire like energy clearing, blessing in the space. If someone's got their, office in their home, we might do a blessing or clearing in their home office or wherever their space, wherever they hold their space. But we're getting in really, really nitty gritty. And then I write up a full report. And it's looking at all of these different aspects. If we think about the root, right? You just ask about foundation. That is the foundation of our business. So we look, how rooted is your business? And I just worked with this one woman's business who it's been very rooted. She's had the business for 7 years, just opened a new location in a new place. And so we were looking at this rooted energy and the new energy, and they weren't speaking to each other. And so we had to bring this synergy back together so that the company could grow in a synergistic way. And so there's lots of different levels, the heart of the company, the mission, the purpose, how are you connecting with your clients? And so we write it all up, and there's tangible steps for each level. It's really profound. It's really beautiful. And that's what I would say is kind of the most like electric and alive right now. And then I'll do, like VIP weekend events where someone will just fly in and we get into the spiritual for their body. And then we go all in on their strategy and energetics for their business. Lots of really beautiful things. I run different challenges. I just did a Quantum Leap Mastery incubator group. We went together for 4 weeks. This past week, I ran a magnetic as fuck challenge. How do you become more magnetic in your energy and your presence and your field, both energetically, but also physically? Because we can have all the amazing things going on inside, but if we aren't actually being the auric field, right? Our auric field is that match first. If we're not actually offering it out to the world, how are we being an energetic match? So ultimately, everything is customizable. I just love to get in there and dive in. What I like to say is I'm your secret weapon. I'm your ninja, your back pocket ninja that you didn't even know you needed that will really offer that trajectory when you shift these little tiny things, but it makes a really big difference to the channel being clear for you. Really anything, like you said, that gives you those bumpers that can really help you see it from a different perspective. Because so many times when we're in our business or when we're parenting, right? A lot of times I talk about, you with your business, like, don't be a helicopter parent to your business. You have to let your business breathe a little bit, because she will formulate it for you. And then you be the conduit, and you execute, and you pull in, and you hold the space, and you breathe. And then it actually frees you up to be your genius in the business.
Totally.
And it's such a cool thing.
Yeah. Totally. And if people want to take advantage of any of the things that you're doing, where can they find the information about signing up for a challenge or signing up for any kind of coaching with you?
Amazing. Yeah. Honestly, Instagram is like the place that I play the most, _awaken your soul. My website, Elyse Falzone, but I will be honest, so much of what I do is so in the moment and so quick and hot. Things are changing all the time. Just go to my Instagram. We'll chat there.
Love it. That's where I found you, and you were immediately responsive, which was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll make sure we tag that in the show notes so people can easily find you.
Perfect.
Any last minute advice for all these women entrepreneurs out there, or women who are thinking about being in the entrepreneurial space, going into business? Any messages that are coming through that somebody might need to hear?
There's two. I think the first one is don't be afraid to really be you. You do not have to, we just don't have to wear the mask anymore. And I know that's easier said than done, but if there's something in your awareness right now in this moment, like, I actually can lay this down, I want you to lay it down. Just lay it down. You don't need whatever the thing is, the crutch, the excuse, the fear, and take one step in front of the other, one step in front of the other, one step in front of the other. As long as you are moving, the energy is going to keep moving, and it will support you. And set your intention so the universe can meet you there. If you don't set the intention, the universe can never meet you there. So that's one thing. Separately, don't be afraid to welcome your spiritual self to the party, even if your business isn't spiritual. Like, I've worked with so many real estate agents and people who have brick and mortar businesses that have nothing to do with spirituality. But when they allow themselves to trust their intuition and to open up to how spirit wants to work with them, they actually know what to say, when a new client comes in, because you can already feel and sense the energy of who this person is and what they might need. You know, they can walk into a home if it's a real estate agent, and they can energetically clear the home. So when their client comes in, it's feeling good. It's feeling like this safe, beautiful space. So there are so many ways that you can integrate this spiritual and energetic work without outwardly having to be spiritual. And I think that is really key, and where so many women can fear that. It's like, you actually don't have to be afraid. It's your secret weapon too. Don't let it just be mine. Let it be yours too, because we're all of the same makeup. It's all there. We have these skills and we have these talents, and I'm just here to help sprinkle the fairy dust and help you realize it.
Help everybody understand that they have the talents within them to understand all of these things. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that too.
Do you have any women who have influenced you, whether you know them personally or not? Just people that you feel like, wow, they've really helped me on my journey.
I mean, yes and no. I laugh every time someone asks me, like, who's your role model, or a variation of the question. I feel like it's the one question I never have an answer to. And so I'm just going to laugh at myself in this moment, because I'm like, okay, we're right back here. But what I will say is, I'm inspired by women who take the leap. I'm inspired by women who have the courage to do the damn thing, to open the business, to wear the wild clothing, to speak up, to go after their dreams, even when it totally doesn't make sense. I'm inspired by people who have, forged a path for themselves, even though every single circumstance in their life told them that they would never amount to anything, whether that is through physical trauma, emotional trauma, financial trauma, any sort of anything where women are a yes to their hearts. That inspires me. That brings me to my knees. That makes me cry for days, for the possibility that we even live in a time where we can express, and that we're continuing to fight for and open that possibility where everyone around the entire globe has that ability to express, to feel, to heal, to be a part of something that, is that ripple effect for the planet.
Totally.
That was beautifully said. Beautifully said. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a beautiful conversation. Would definitely love to have you back sometime. Maybe get into some weirder, deeper things. We love that.
We can go weird.
We're diving into all of the woo woo. We want all of it.
We can go aliens. We can go near death experience. We can go all the things.
Yes.
Stay
tuned for part 2. Yeah.
We need to do an alien deep dive for sure. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a great first taste. When this episode airs, you'll be able to hear it on Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
And if it speaks to you at all, please share. Yeah. Elise, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the work you're doing. Beautiful.
Thank you both so much. It was such a joy and an honor, and I can't wait to come back and see what else.
We would love to have you back. We would love to have you back.
Love you all.
Love you all.